How's it going, everybody? This is Miike Chuidian. I'm better known as Chewy. Just want to thank Nicole for a wonderful presentation, truly inspiring, lots of empathy, but just a really inspiring story that you have, Nicole. And, she's right. We have a community that's just here and ready to help. But thank you all so much for joining the FRBR for Recruiters by Recruiters Conference. My name is Miike Chuidian. I am a lead executive talent sourcer for ServiceNow, and I focus on AI, on our AI teams. So that's kind of what I've been doing for like pretty much the past 9 years. But anyways, glad to join this conference. I'm also the co-creator, and host of the Bullion and Brews podcast, along with Carrie Collier, Jim Stroud, Steve Levy, and Dean DaCosta. So, it's a fun podcast if you haven't checked it out. Anyways, that's not why I'm here. Why I'm here is because I want to talk to y'all about sourcing moves, right? This is a game of chess, not checkers, right? And I definitely want to we've already gone over the tools with the Boolean and all the tools that different sourcers can use and things like that. But this is really more of a talk, and hopefully it'll inspire you to kind of really think about your strategy when it comes to sourcing and being able to think ahead, right? And so that's what I'm here to talk about. So really, the premise of this was I was reading a book a while back, and it basically said, it's been said that a grandmaster level chess player is always thinking 10 to 20 moves ahead. Now, that is amazing in and of itself. My brain doesn't even work that way, but some of these grandmasters of chess are actually thinking 10 to 20 moves ahead so they can anticipate whatever move their challenger is going to make. And we kind of have to take that into context from a sourcing perspective and understand that we kind of have to think, a similar way. Now, do I think 10 to 20 moves ahead? Probably not that much, because my brain doesn't work that way. So, but I think for me, anywhere from 5 to 7 moves, thinking 5 to 7 moves ahead is probably ideal. But hey, if you can think 10 to 20 moves ahead, then perfect. Then that's the way your brain works, and I love that. But I think one of the most important things and important aspects as sourcers and recruiters that we don't understand is that we're kind of reactionary to a lot of the tasks that we're doing, especially when it comes to search, right? Or even just kind of the process of search and the recruiting process itself, right? We need to be able to think ahead so that we're able and ready, right, at the moment to counter anything that we might encounter during the process, right? Whether it's sourcing, whether it's recruiting, we need to be able to think ahead, at least 5 steps ahead, so that we're ready and we're ready to tackle on whatever challenge comes our way. So, with that being said, a lot of the moves that we make, we have to think critically. I think a lot of sourcers and recruiters, they need to have this skill, this critical thinking skill, in order to be able to think that far ahead, right? So I think, when I'm interviewing a sourcer, I always check for, what's their process when they're critically thinking through solving a problem, right? And being able to kind of break that down and really be able to analyze what kind of move do I have to make next, and understand, and always understanding and asking the question, why did this happen when I put in this Boolean string and I only got like 3 search results? Um, why did the hiring manager not, uh, not entertain this candidate when they clearly had the requirements that were needed, for a particular role? So really, when it comes to critical thinking, there's a number of this, and it isn't just limited to what you see on this slide, right? But I think the main aspects of being able to critically think is to really think about these uh, five pillars, right? So really being able to analyze what sorts of problems might arise and how you're gonna counter that, right? And that comes with problem solving and being also creative too, right? And also having that open mindedness. So really, when we're thinking about our next 5 moves, when it comes to whether it's sourcing or even recruiting, we really need to think about, how do we come to the next 5 moves? What's next, right? So we're able to kind of counter that. So critical thinking skills for a sourcer or a recruiter are absolutely essential, and it's really needed in order for you to be able to think about the next 5, 6, 7 moves, right, that you might make from a sourcing perspective. Now, there are a lot of what ifs, right? There are a lot of what ifs, and I'm just gonna, I just have a few here that I'm gonna mention, but there are a lot of what ifs when it comes to understanding, what are going to be my next 5, 6, 7 moves, okay? And within the what ifs, right, there's going to be moves within those what ifs too. So it's really understanding the talent landscape really well, understanding, and anticipating what you might encounter from a particular candidate, and really dissecting, just what's on paper, what you feel is you're going to want to talk about on the call or the interview. So you really have to understand the what ifs, and then the what ifs, whatever that what if is, you're going to have to think 5 to 7 steps ahead. Now, here are some what ifs that I run into all the time, that I feel that I have to think 5 to 7 steps. Okay, so let's just say, what if LinkedIn goes down? What are you going to do? Okay, now there's I think we're in a world now where we use LinkedIn as a crutch, right? And we use LinkedIn as something that, you're using it daily, right? But it's probably the the most used tool out there that recruiters and sourcers are using, but they don't have the other skills to figure out, if LinkedIn goes down for even a couple hours, there are some recruiters and sourcers out there that might start to panic and like, wow, my day is over. Or what am I going to do? Where am I going to find candidates? And really, from that, what if, right, is how do we break down my next 5 to 7 moves on that? Is it conference lists? Is it scraping um, different organizational charts from different companies? How do you get to those organizational charts, right? Things like that. Searching on different search platforms, whether that's Google, whether that's Bing, whether that's Yandex, what have you, DuckDuckGo, what have you. So it's really understanding, okay, if LinkedIn goes down, I gotta know what my next moves are going to be after. If that goes down, I need to think about, okay, I'm gonna go to Google Scholar, or I'm gonna go to Google Research People and see what I can find there. Or I'm gonna do a Boolean search on any one of the platforms, the search platforms that I had mentioned, right? And so it's really kind of breaking that down and really understanding, okay, this is what I need to do. If LinkedIn goes down, then I know what to do. There's no downtime, and I could go straight to whatever that may be. Okay. The next thing that I always encounter is a hiring manager changes the requirements of a rec, and I'm pretty sure that all of you have experienced that, where you're working on a role, you've got it set, you already did the search, you already have resumes or profiles to calibrate, and so you're basically ready. Like, well, you think you're ready until the hiring manager comes back and says, hey, I need this, this, and this in addition to what we need. But I really need these 2, 3, or 4 items. And now your search is kind of thrown for a loop, right? So what do you do then? Again, you got to understand and anticipate that this would happen, especially for sourcers and recruiters. This has to be one of the most prominent ones that you have to be ready for, right? Do you have a pipeline that's ready to kind of accommodate those 3 additional requirements that the hiring manager is looking for, right? Now you got to recalibrate your search. Now you got to reiterate your search with different search terms, right? You got to understand that, and being able to move quickly on your feet, and also being able to think critically as to, okay, let's just say somebody is your hiring manager wants somebody with specific experience with LLMs or large language models. Before it was just traditional machine learning, but then he throws in, oh, I need somebody that has experience with large language models. What are you going to do? Where are you going to go? Right? There's, my go-to for me is Google research. And then the next thing that I like to go to is Google research people. So there's 2, Google Scholar and Google Research People. So there's 2 that I go to. If I'm just, well, I like to look for those people there because I know that I'm going to find people specifically working on large language models, right? So, and then there's a host of other places that you could go to. You could actually go to a computer science department on, on a college website, a university website, whether that's, for us, it's Carnegie Mellon. They love candidates from Carnegie Mellon. So, you can actually go to the Carnegie Mellon website and actually go into the computer science department and do a search for people who have a computer science degree or pursuing a master's or a PhD in computer science. You can actually tap into that pot of gold that you're looking for, and really begin to also deep dive on specifics in terms of the subject. In my case, it's LLMs, and I've been successful, growing lists and candidate lists from just that. So hiring manager changes of requirements, that's something that you have to be ready for and really stay steps ahead. The next thing is, your search string gives you undesirable results. And so, I think people who copy and paste Boolean strings are probably going to have a disadvantage. And it's really important to understand just how important Google building a Boolean string, that you need to understand it, right? You need to understand the syntax and what the operators do. More often than not, you'll get folks who try to build Boolean strings with horrible syntax, and they wonder why they're not getting any results, right? And so it's really about understanding how Boolean works, how Boolean syntax works, so that it could work for you to your advantage, and being able to reiterate each and every search and trying different things, right? So when you're building strings, you're constantly doing things like, if you have a string of an or statement of skills that you're looking for, maybe you might want to bring the very last keyword on your Boolean string, on your or statement, to the very beginning of your statement, and see what kind of results that gets you. And more often than not, that algorithm, what you're telling that search engine to do is you're telling that search engine, hey, I want this to be more prominent on the search results. And lo and behold, it typically does, right? But again, the experimentation of Boolean strings, and building those Boolean strings is really, to me, it's still fun because I still do it. I know there's a lot of AI tools out there that do that kind of stuff. I get it. But sometimes, you want to get a little bit more granular. And sometimes, an AI source or an AI Boolean tool may not be able to think the way you might think. And so that diversity of thought with Boolean string comes into play a lot. Okay. The next thing would be, your slate of candidates may bomb their interview. What do you do then? Right. Again, you have to understand, you have to think ahead in terms of, hey, I've got 3 great candidates that are interviewing. I need to back these 3 candidates up with the next 3 candidates. Who are they going to be? Are they in my pipeline? Are they ready to go? And really being able to think and analyze that, and then understanding that part, and then understanding if I don't have 3 candidates that are going to be good backups. Now what? Now you have to understand, like, okay, well, I've done this search before. Let me go back and do another search, right? And reiterate whatever search parameters you're using, whether it's Boolean, whether it's on an AI tool like HireEZ or Seek Out or any of the others out there. You kind of go back through those steps, but it should be a constant, like there shouldn't be any downtime, because the more that you're efficient with understanding kind of the challenges that you're going to face ahead of time, the better the outcome is going to be. And you'll be able to kind of breeze through your work, because you're already thinking ahead. You're already thinking about, oh, if my candidates bomb the interview, then I already know what I'm going to do. Like I'm going to go back to my silver medalists in my database, right? Or I'm going to reiterate my search and find out, if I can come up with some better results, right? And so the next thing is a time frame to get someone hired, right, is shortened, right? More often than not, hiring managers want what they want. They're going to be like, yo, I need a candidate like in freaking a week. What are you going to do? Right. And this is, again, this is something that in your project, this is probably one of the things that one of the first things that I would be thinking about. Like, what if the hiring says they need somebody in the seat in a month? Okay. Oh, great. I got a month, but don't take that as truth, because they're going to come back and say, no, I need somebody in 2 weeks. Now, what are you going to do? Now you got to speed up your process. Now you're going to be stumbling along the way, trying to build this pipeline. And you got to have that pipeline ready. So it's always important to, even though pipelining sucks sometimes, even when you have to like have those conversations ahead of time when you don't even have a job, this is where pipelining in the very, very beginning, even before the candidate is am I past?
Yes, you are.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
no
Okay.
worries. Want to let you know.
Okay. But yeah, so thanks everybody. I know it's a little long-winded, but hopefully you guys get the gist of kind of thinking ahead to the next 4, 5, 6, 7 moves. Hopefully it'll give you a checkmate in your workflows.